Alright, welcome back to another episode of this unnamed series. This is a different series to what I normally upload on my channel, where it's just playing or reviewing some either lesser known games or some games that I've received. Which brings on to the topic that I'm playing this game because it's the first game I've received that was offered to me with a game key. So I'm very thankful for that and the chance to play this game, and I am interested to see what it's like. Now, from what I know of this game, it's like a tower defense, but with modular upgrades that can scale up as you progress, I think. Now, the last tower defense game I ever played was Bloons Tower Defense 6, and that's quite a high bar to set, but I'm not going to set my expectations to that level, of course. But this is merely just going to be a small playthrough of me just discovering things in this game and seeing it, how much I enjoy it, and all feedback and criticism that I might have will be at the end, which is the same as the last episode of this mini-series I've done. So it wants me to do a tutorial, so I guess I'll get into it. Oh, okay, so there's a lot of maps. Oh no, I don't want to close the tutorial yet. Okay. I guess these are the different enemies. Right-clicking them is a cool feature to see more details. Okay, let's get into it. Deploy sentry tower from your deployment list onto the map. Oh, are these my sentries? No. I'm lost. What am I doing? Oh, I just click on the squares. Okay. Call your tower by double tapping it. Select it using the recall button in the property panel. Alright. So I've got my main tower here. And I click on things to do what I want. Okay. So this is energy meter at the bottom, and I'm not sure what that means. Maybe that might just be my health. So is that the whole level complete? Okay, so the levels are fairly simple, and it's not like... I know I said I wouldn't set my expectations to Bloons 2d6 scale, but I was expecting like scaling rounds and not scaling levels. That's interesting. That's a unique way to do it. Here we go, we've got the mods. Increase projectile damage by 1. Simple, but there's a lot of mods. It looks like they'd be able to scale well. I'm gonna try and look at this game with a complete blank slate without expectations from other games. I'm going to try and understand its mechanics and the way it wants me to play, and hopefully understand why they've designed things in such a way. Seems that I can't deploy a second turret yet. I do also have to say, I'm quite stupid when it comes to games. Did I fail? No, I think I passed. Okay, that's scary. Alright, let's skip through these tutorial bits and read them. Is recall your towers to deposit resources into your base. So I'm not sure where I can see my resources. I can't double click on this fella anymore. I'm guessing that's because the map's over. But there's all things, a lot of big words. Oh, so I have to actively click next to read more of the tutorial. I thought I'd skip through it with me, introduce new mechanics, but okay. This is the energy meter. Keep tower energy usage within the limit for towers to function. Now that you have some resources, let's sell them for meta gold at the trader. Okay. Sell all these. This is where you can buy mods and manage them. Okay, so I thought I unlocked them already. Turns out they are just unlocked. Okay, so I've got one of those mods. Redirect projectile path to the left. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay. Now that's 100. I've got like 1,000 up here. Got 4,000, so that's fine. Oh, is this why I could only have one tower? Because I only have one. Okay, it's a bit confusing, but I think I know what I'm doing. Okay, so my assumption with this is these little squares, they are the mods I insert, and the white spaces underneath them that I've already placed them on is the space I have to build my mods on. And these lines on the mods, the red lines, I need to connect them together to be able to get their benefits. But for now, because I've only got a straight line, I can only do this simple mod a few times. Okay, that makes sense. I'm hoping I'm right. But now my thing's got more energy cost, but much more damage. Okay, now let's get into this for real. It's a big rock. These ores, towers, artifacts, fire at them, there's nothing around. Well, it's fully broken, it's depleted, and okay, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna skip that. I'm just gonna because it's things. Place one turret. I think that's the only turret I've got. Okay, so they can't shoot when they're full. Maybe. Am I getting that right? I might need to. If I can buy more towers, that would be extremely useful. I believe I lost. So I'm a little lost on this. So buy towers. Okay. Okay. Okay, I see. There we go, I've got another slot. Okay. And I'll buy that. So, if I get this century free, oh, it'd be very convenient to buy mods from here. But that's alright for now. Let's buy a few of these, buy a few of those, buy a few of those, and can you rotate these is the question. It's already rotated for me. Very nice. That should give me the benefits of that century. So let's retry this level. Click this century. I put it here. It's got some range too. Okay, now I can place them down. Okay, I'm getting used to it, I think. Okay, now I've unlocked the next map, but I'm also interested in modding this little century. Okay, so it doesn't autofill a mod for the slot that it needs to bend to, which I didn't expect. Okay, the arrow signifies which way it goes. That's common sense. Surprised I have that. He's wrecking it so far. But there's something I noticed about it, but I will get onto that shortly. In fact, there's not much going on, so I can say it now. But with the mods that have the right-angled mods, the laser line, I expected that to move the projectile down in that certain direction, and it doesn't. I believe that's just for the modding. So, okay, so these three are just your basic damage upgrades, but these two let you bend them around to be able to connect the lines together. There's fire rate too. I want a few of them. Look at this. We're actually like crafting. Oh, you can buy from the menu. That's brilliant. Okay. Love that. And I will want this one. Now look at that. That is so much better than what I last had. We're going to watch this turret, this sentry, wreck this level. Probably solo. Place it here. Oh, that is sexy. Oh, it's actually not. No, it can keep up. I'm sure it can. I'm not sure what's with the collecting thing and it's stopping firing. I'm not sure if there's a way I can pick its things up without it getting disabled. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not the best with reading, so tutorials are not my biggest strength. Oh, I remembered my strongest priority is targeting. Okay, I've got no energy. That's a bit concerning. So if you start losing health, it starts to create a snowballing effect where the game just gets so much more difficult because you don't have the energy to continue. Oh, there's things we can do here. And boom. Right. Let's try it again. Oh, it wasn't resources. It was ammo. I see. I'm such an idiot. I did my objectives. Okay, so these objectives on the right are what I need to complete level, I assume. Maybe losing my base is fine. It's just the things on the right I need. It looks like there's gonna be a spot that's not used, which is a shame, but there's not much I can do about it. Oh, look at him go. He's actually doing something now. It's kind of satisfying just to see all the spheres just go plink. There's 2 outputs? Oh god. Okay. How do I unequip this tower? Aha! The arrows. That's a bit weird, but I've learned it now, so it's fine. Oh, there we go. Splits into 2. I think I'm just gonna throw max fire rate on this fork cannon and see how crazy it gets. That's if I can even optimize this setup to have a lot of fire rate. It's not looking well at the moment. Maybe if I do something else instead. I'm gonna put that down. There's gonna be a gap left there, unfortunately. And that's gonna split into 2 there. These are gonna go off in their own direction. And this one ain't gonna do nothing. Oh, that's a bit of a mistake. What I should do instead is this goes up here, right? Alright, that is a mess of a modding station. But that works. And now that it works, we can try map 8. Look at that. Oh, a bit of Pierce on that. That would be sexy. There's not much for me to say aside from it's just satisfying to watch this. Oh, I think I see the name appearing. I've only just realised. I do love playing SphereTD. Oh, I'm hitting dinks. That's not slang for anything. I'm just like hearing dinks. Okay, I'm just reading the extra info about this, and it's very interesting stuff. There's ways to play this game I never even imagined. I think I'm doing bad. Wait, no. I'm losing it. I'm going good. Starting next map run, you can pick mod cards when base levels up. The base can level up? Oh, it can. At the bottom. I'm very interested to hear more. Oh, here we go. Here's where things get interesting. +1 projectile. Plus another projectile. Oh, that's for the base. Okay. I see. I thought it was going to affect all my towers. It almost turns into like a card game now. God, the base can really fight for itself now. That's great. Oh, I added ricochet. Look what it's doing now. Oh, this gets weird. Oh, the base can even do knockback now. That's interesting. There's so much interesting in this interesting game. What are these little diamonds flying around for? Are they coming out of the rocks? Yeah, they are. I have an idea. This is gonna involve some big brain stuff. Okay, and for the first time, I skip the gap. I do this. Do that. Extra fire it. Bam. Damage. We curve it down this way. Get the extra stuff. And then do this. That. And there's been a lot of towers, so I'll put another pierce on. And I'll put on fire it. That is the most optimized thing I've ever done in my life. Saving that when using that. Look at it go! I went under the energy limit. It's fine anyways. We're good. But that does concern me, we need to get some more towers. Precision cannon. I'll buy it. Oh, we got a lot of room to play with this one. Okay. I might just go all in on damage and pierce for this one. It speaks to me as a damage dealer. I think that'll be good enough. Complete combat 15. Let's try and get to 15. And then, unless it's giving me like a free copy of Elden Ring, then I might call the video there. That precision cannon is doing work. Not a lot of damage, but it's doing work. Oh, the colours are getting more complex now. It's like a shaded ones. See that one just then? Not the white one, but it was like similar to white. I don't know, they had funky colours to them. Research panel unlocked. Oh, 50k for that. Research mods to unlock sub-modules that improve stats, add new abilities and create synergies. That's very interesting, okay. I'm going to play a little bit more off camera after this video is done, and I'm going to see if I can get used to anything to add any more points. That's pretty much the gameplay for today, and now is the point of the video where I get into the feedback of the game and what I experienced and how I think things could be better to improve gameplay from a player's perspective, and hopefully give some insight that can help the developer to make this game better. Okay, so I'm going over my footage whilst in editing, just to be able to compile a list of different things of feedback and what I think could be used to improve the game, and also what I found to be really good with the game. Now, just as a small disclaimer, I have not put that much time into this game. I've put a couple hours into it, and a lot of the criticism that I give might already be solved at some point later in the game, and I could just not have reached it yet. So take it with a grain of salt. So first I'm going to go over the pros, and then I'm going to go over the cons. So the first thing is that I love the simplistic style to it. It doesn't need to be complex in any way, and there doesn't need to be any over-the-top visual effects or anything. It's able to stand out as it is. You could maybe make use of some more vibrant colours to make certain things stand out more. I noticed some of these spheres or even diamonds, they are quite bright, which makes them stand out as maybe some sort of priority target. But overall, I do like the style. It's very simple and it's easy to catch on with. Another thing is the modding is really fun. There's not many games where I actually enjoyed modding to this extent. Warframe might be the only other comparison that I can make because of the diverse amount of mods you can use, and whilst you do still have limited spaces, there's still a lot you can do with your weapons and stuff. And equal to this game, there's a lot you can do with your towers. And the way you build your mods together is also really cool. I love the way you do that because it makes it feel more interactive with your towers. Rather than just slotting in a mod in a certain slot and just hoping for the best. You actually have to think and build in a way to make the most of your space. It's almost like a little Factorio in there, and that's like a mini game in itself, which is really fun. I love that feature. The additional fact that you can level up your mods as well is also really interesting because it adds another layer to the modding, which is really cool. I'm sure that really adds on to the power scaling of when you get into the later game. The modding is also very easy to understand. This was one of the most important parts for me because when I first saw it, I was a little intimidated in the screenshots of the game with the modding stuff. It looked a bit confusing, but it is dead simple. You just get a line and take it to its output, or multiple outputs if it has them. And you can do it as simple as you want, but the more simple you think, the more your towers are going to suffer from that. So you kind of have to think, which is a really unique way to execute this sort of puzzle with players and having them think. And the final pro I was able to think of off the top of my head is that it's very satisfying to watch your towers fight as you get stronger. At first it's alright, you're shooting a couple things, but the feedback isn't that tangible, I guess I should say. But once you start to get the pierce, the ricochet, the AoE effects, and there's more I haven't even unlocked, I'm sure it will get even more satisfying. But it's really nice to see your towers really do things, and you really feel the impact that your towers are making when you've added those mods. Now that's all the pros I could think of off the top of my head. If there are any more, I will leave it in the comments along with additional cons that I might have missed. But speaking of cons, I'm going to get into a small list of them now. There are more cons than pros, but I do understand this is a very early access game and is in a very early state, and things could definitely change later on. The first thing I can say for the cons is that the artistic style choices sometimes clash against each other. The best example I can think of this is that you've got your really plain towers, you've got plain level, which I'm not saying it's bad that it's plain, it's very simple and I like it and it stands out. But then you've got your resources, which look highly detailed and look almost out of place. Now there was a disclaimer in the Steam page where there is the use of AI generated images and AI generated music, which is a very thin layer of ice for people these days to discuss, but I feel like it's very important to discuss it and why there's reasons for it to be good and there's reasons for it to be bad. In this case, I feel like I'm a bit mixed between the two for this game specifically. This is no hate to the developer at all, but personally I believe AI generated images for games like these are generally fine if they are being used as a placeholder and typically not for a public release, which is what has been done for this early access. You could probably get away with just scribbling some basic resource in a similar style to what you have done for example, the towers. They're very simple. It's like, take for like the fork cannon or something. You've got a yellow sphere and like 2 grey lines. That is it, really. You could definitely create a very simple symbol or icon representing the resources rather than using AI for them. Now, unfortunately, I can't really comment on AI generated music. I do not know much about that. I understand it is really difficult to source or make your own music, so I will leave that to the opinions of other people who know better than me. But related to the images of resources, this is another con I had with those things. So this is mainly based on my personal preference, but I feel like the large names such as Iridium and Aquarium are pretty complex names for the simplistic resources that can realistically be anything in the world, such as a simple name to maybe represent other shapes if it wants to further explore the shapes theme. Like if you wanted a resource such as squares or triangles, you could use that. And whilst I kind of get that you mine objects for those resources, I feel like the asteroids in the map are a little out of place. Maybe it's with the intention that they're to be seen with the AI generated images as the background, which I didn't have enabled. So I'm not sure what they look like. I'm not sure what they intend to look like in the more polished version of the game. But with them disabled, and from my experience at least, they didn't look fitting, really. Not only that, but Iridium and Aquarium, just to name 2 of them out of the few they've got, they can be a bit hard for me to remember. I don't see a reason why they are an element such as that, as we don't even know what element the towers are made of, if they're like stone or iron. I don't know. But I feel like there's a lot of potential if you lean further into the shapes aspect of it, if the game is called SphereTD. But whilst I'm on the topic for the resource things, it's mostly a question either to the dev or to myself, because as I said earlier, this could be a thing that's fixed or given more context later in the game that I have not made it to yet, but the resources seem almost completely pointless. As far as I've seen, you don't need the resources for anything. You don't need to use them to buy anything, aside from the main gold currency, of course. This is the one exception, but they're not used in crafting anything. They are just used to be sold to get gold, rather than you get those resources and they are just converted to gold immediately without having to add a whole list of resources that you don't need to pay attention to. But that was a singular large con with a couple sub-cons beneath it, miniature cons beneath it. But now I'm on to more smaller cons that are more like suggestions to possibly enhance the game a little bit more. So the first thing I thought of was a fast forward option. This could be in the game again, I don't know. I'm going to be playing more in my own time, but I wanted to get this video out, and I would be spending a long time playing the game without getting this video out if I were to do that. But a fast forward option would be really nice. The other thing, which is a bit of a bigger ask, is a UI enhancement. Just looking at the main menu, a main menu is important to really show your game before you play it, really. And this doesn't show anything. I feel like a game should really try and show itself and show its personality, I guess I should say, and have it show itself in the main menu. But with this main menu, it doesn't do that. Mechanics wise, I don't have much of a problem with the buttons. I've also not played enough to have a proper experience with the buttons and getting used to them, so I can't say much for that. But I can say that I feel like there should be a bit more of a colour difference, maybe between different tabs, so it's easier to tell what tab you're on, if that makes any sense. The main thing that I suggest colour for is when you pick up cards mid-level for your base upgrades. It would be really helpful if the mod you could select was color coded dependent on what that mod does. For example, if a Pierce mod was purple, you could give it a quick glance and know you needed Pierce more, easily click purple. It saves reading time and it makes the general player experience a lot faster and more fluid. Now there's only 2 more cons left, and these ones are a little small. So the second to last con would be about the tutorial. I feel like a 30+ step tutorial with text is not the most effective way for a player to learn how to play your game. I feel like the best way to deliver a tutorial is to lock most features away from letting the player use them and introduce them level by level. Some levels introducing multiple features at once, depending on how big or small the features are, and allow the player to use those additional features to build upon their experience from the last level. For example, first level could be you have one turret, place it down, you got money from that. Now use that money to buy a second tower. Now it's introduced that you have limited towers and you can now place 2, and how to equip a second tower into your slot. Then on the second level, once you get more money, you get enough money to purchase mods, and that's when it introduces the modding. And now whilst it kind of did this in the way I played the game, it also gave me the full 30 steps in one go for me to read, which I feel like is a little bit much to digest in one go, especially when the steps didn't skip themselves depending on when you did a level, so you know if you've learned something or not. So you didn't know if you was actually behind or ahead of the instructions when you was reading through them. So eventually I just ended up skipping all of the steps of the tutorial and just learned the game myself, because I found that to be more engaging than reading. Now that is just my personal preference, because I just generally prefer playing the game and learning it rather than reading how to play it. And the final con is a very simple one. When I was looking back in the footage, I noticed that when your energy drops below a certain value, all your towers are suddenly disabled. Now if you've got a large rush of spheres heading to your base, it is almost impossible to survive that, because all of your towers are disabled. You don't have time to take out a tower to get within your energy limits. So I feel like a nice quality of life feature would be to disable the towers starting from the ones you placed first, or maybe have a higher energy drain, and start disabling them in whatever order you choose, one at a time, as it keeps dropping its energy value, rather than disabling all the turrets at once. I feel like it would make it much easier to have a chance to survive once you get past that point of no return. But that's it for my feedback for the game, and that is it for my playthrough of the game as well. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I also hope that I've provided some valuable feedback. Even if you just use like one thing from this, I'd be happy with that. But that is it for the second video of this strange little mini series that I have not named yet, if it'll ever get a name. And I hope your toast will be perfectly toasted.